Hi, Kirk.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
Good, thanks. Hope I didn't keep you waiting too long.
No, not at all, Kirk. So, how was the day so far?
Good, good. It's so you're in India. What time is it there?
Oh, it's 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, really? Oh
Yeah.
man, sorry. Holy crap.
So
No,
it's
it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock here.
that's why I went for 8 o'clock. So that will be much easier for me.
Right? Yeah, yeah. I got you. No, it's been good. I'm just getting ready. We're going to Nashville, the Reed Effect.
Yeah,
So I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So I'm just trying to pack and organize everything. So I've been pretty busy. But yeah, doing good.
great, Kirk. So, Kirk, Tremble Enter video was out on May 11th. So, can you tell me a bit about the making of the video and the songwriting behind it?
Um, okay, the songwriting, like the lyrics are originally, it's about it's a long story, but I'll make it tight. Like there was a time in my life when I couldn't walk. I was sick. I'll leave the details for that, but it was for a while. So the song is basically about the transition from being sick and kind of um in a cocoon type state, and then the transition moving back out to the rat race that we have in the world, but if I can share, I don't know if you know, but I lost my brother.
I do.
Yeah, and he was a member. So the meaning of the song kind of changed more to the loss of Chris, the most important person in my life. And actually, you saw the video, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Chris, he makes an appearance, like kind of towards the end when it got a little bit psychedelic. So we managed, our videographer, Dylan Weller, was able to bring Chris in. So it's like we're performing together. And this song is really, it's all based around Chris's bass line. It's all based around his bass. So that quirky little bass line that you hear in the song, and I remember Brian, the drummer, Brian Fontes, Chris, and myself, we spent all day working the percussion and the bass and my guitar to have the main riff, and it was rocking, but it's slightly syncopated a bit. The rhythms are kind of clashy, and it works. But it took all day to come up with that. Then I slowly put the structure around in the lyrics. And I would say as far as the songs on the album are concerned, Trampled Under, I would say, is the most, I guess, the most personal and the darkest, most emotional. Most of the other songs are more rockers. So this kind of balances the whole album out. But having said that, I think it's possibly the strongest song on the album.
Wonderful. And 1973 was out last year, a great album. Can you tell me
Thank you.
a bit about the songwriting on an overall basis and the production behind this album?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was quite a process. Like, I mean, I think we started pre-production like summer of 2000. 18, I think. That's crazy. 4 years. We started the pre-production with our producer, Ted Sedalis. And we started recording. Well, this is 2020. Sorry for that brain fart. It was, I can't remember exactly when, but we started the recording, and it took, it was quite a process. Our producer is so nitpicky. And we got all the recording done just before March of 2020. So right before the pandemic happened.
Yep.
And we were supposed to release it actually May 1st of 2020.
And yep.
And we postponed it a whole year. We had a release show all booked and everything. And then the pandemic happened and changed everything. So there was a couple of things, and then we had a lineup change a little bit throughout. I'm not going to get into all the drama of it, but there was a couple songs. Actually, Rise Up, one of the songs, we it was used to be in the key of E, and we had a completely different vocal line. And then it all switched, and I had to redo all the guitars and do it in C sharp, I think it's in now. So it lowered everything and changed the whole key, and I had to redo everything. And also for Fine Here, the vocal line that you hear on the album now isn't the original. And it was like during the mixing process, I had to go back in and redo everything. So it's been a lot. It required a lot of patience and a lot of work, you know. But then Ted, our producer, again, he's nitpicky, which is a good sign of a producer. I'm not as I just want to get the thing done and start to rock out. So it's good to have someone that balances things out like that. But he spent all of 2020, like the spring and the summer, while we were like in the heart of the lockdown. So he was combing through all the songs and the mixing, you know, making sure everything sounds right on the recording. And he was like, he dialed it in. So like, I mean, to the point, you know, he was up he couldn't even sleep. He was obsessed about it and try to make, you know, like the 30-second bar, the second beat, the snare is not quite. So that's why you hear the production. The production is like incredible, not just big, but it's so well done. You know, it's up there with some of the bigger names. Like we could have paid, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but not quite that much. But then, yeah, like a year ago. And then the thing is, we were supposed to release it online October of 2020. So we figured we have the music. It sounds good. We had it mastered. We're all incredible. And then my brother Chris took his life on October 10th, which was a Saturday. My partner Veronica and I found him. And anyway, that's a whole other thing. But so we had to postpone that. And, you know, I couldn't even imagine the band being a thing anymore. But then soon after, I was like, it has to. This is Chris's final professional recording. So I want to do everything I can to get it out to as many people. I mean, if the album wasn't great, I wouldn't really push it so much, but it is. I mean, you know, and I'm bragging on behalf of my brother and Ted Sedalis, our producer, and Brian too. We put a lot of work on it, and we're very proud of it.
Amazing, Kirk.
Yeah.
And why the name 1973 for the album, and is there any concept that was put behind this?
It's funny. There was Chris, my brother, had a bass line, you know, you know, and I started, you know, we were just improvising, right? That a lot of the songs started that way. Then we kind of go off in our own, you know, and then I try to kind of come up with an idea to kind of build the song and embellish. But I remember the hook, 1973. You know, we haven't had that since 1973. So I built a whole song lyrically around that, just paying homage to that era. We all feel that maybe the late 60s, early 70s, but 1973 in particular was a very special time in music, especially rock and roll. Like rock, I mean, it was the Led Zeppelin coming out back then. I mean, they must have scared the shit out of everybody. We can look back at it now and still appreciate like how amazing, but to have it so fresh back then and very organic and very creative, and live music was, you know, you didn't have to pull teeth from what I hear, you know, it wasn't, live music was a very special time as well. You had funk coming out around that time, hard rock, experimental, progressive, psychedelic music. So, and nothing against music now, but now it's very disjointed in a way. And a lot of the mainstream music, there's in my opinion, with all that auto-tune shit, like with the vocals and, you know, I'm missing some of that human element. And nothing against, you know, I like all kinds I like music, just period. I like sounds that I can appreciate. But personally, I think sometimes it gets very robotic and overproduced. I want to connect from a human level. And so it was partly that, to pay homage to that era, but kind of do our own take on that era. So that song 1973 has the classic rock feel, and some of the songs do too. Like we want to make sure we don't put ourselves out there like we're a 70s tribute band or something like that. We're an original band with our own But we wanted to pay homage, and from that song, 1973, we built the whole concept, the whole like the cover
Yeah.
of the album.
Yeah.
Very psychedelic, very early 70s, which I think is so cool, man.
Absolutely.
And that's Chris and I on the front of the album. Very colorful. And my good friend JC Sandoval did the artwork. Yeah.
Amazing.
So
Amazing, Kirk.
yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
And how is the touring looks for you this year?
It's funny, nothing like we have a few, like we're from Toronto, Canada, of course, right? And the things are we're in a transitional phase going from the pandemic and the lockdown to slowly getting back out there. I have a solo tour in the fall, I believe. And we're doing like little road trips out to like Ottawa, Kingston, places like 3-4 hours away from Toronto, but nothing huge. But there is this thing called the Extreme Tour, and I won't go into all the details of it, but there's a charitable aspect to it, which I believe in. And so that's why we're going to Nashville tomorrow morning. So we're going there, we're going to perform and stuff, and we're going to music summit, try to get connected to that whole thing. And then we're going to see what comes out of this weekend. That's coming up this coming week. It's a long weekend here in Canada coming up. So we'll see what happens over the music summit and what plans we can make. But we're hoping to get down to the States in late August and early September.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, and I have an American passport too, So I have dual citizenship. So I'm American and Canadian. I want to capitalize on that and get down to the States. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And how is the future for Reed Effect looks like?
So of course I had to build a new lineup. And when Chris was with us, we did this album. We did the last album too together. It's always been a 3-piece. There was Chris, me, and Brian. But now that Chris's shoes are too big and too special to fill, so I had to reevaluate how I'm going to approach the band. So it's really a 5-piece band now. So I have a new drummer, Kevin Costa, great guy, Matt Kilborn, which Matt, our friend, he's the bass player. So he was a good friend with Chris. Chris actually had his own band called Fat Mob. And actually I'm wearing Chris was an artist too. Mm-hmm. So this little mascot is Chris's, this is my lucky shirt. So anyway, Matt was in Fat Mob and now he's playing with the Reed Effect. I'm a full-time musician, and so I play covers and I do duos. And my duo partner, Carmen, Miss Lamont, she's the second guitarist in the band now. And the album, the production is so big, like you heard, right? So I need that extra guitar as well to kind of fill out the sound. And then my partner, my life partner, Veronica McNamee, she sings backup live as well. So we have a 5-piece and we have a bunch of new ideas. I'm milking this album. This is only the 3rd single that we released with Allison.
Yeah.
And I have 4 after this. So I'm milking this to honor Chris as much as I can and to get this album out there to as many people. It's strong. And I know it'll turn heads. And we have a great live show too. So I want to take this band as far as I can and then slowly work on creating a new album.
Wonderful, wonderful. And are you planning to get back into the studio anytime sooner this year?
I don't think this year because I think the rest of this year I'm really gonna I have to work on putting new videos together for the remaining 4.
Yeah.
Although actually 2 of them are already done. The videos are ready. So then I have to do 2 more, and then it's going to be just gigging, writing. We're already writing, and Carmen has come up with some cool licks. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Chris, he recorded everything, so he has so many ideas recorded. So I have all these ideas on the hard drive. So I'm going to start working and developing those into songs. So I need some time. I think over the summer I'll have some time to kind of cultivate that and work at building some songs. So I'll continue to write with Chris, really. taking his riffs and his ideas and putting it into songs. So I think the rest of this year will be mostly about performing, but also writing. And then hopefully early next year, we can start pre-production on a new album.
Sounds great, Kirk. And
Yeah.
would you like to share some of the great moments that you had since the beginning of the Read Effect?
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. This is really our fourth. I did a solo album years ago. Just I played all the instruments, I wrote all the songs, and then put the band together after that. So then we went on a few tours out east.
Mhm.
I've never made it to the States yet. It's hard because no one else in the band is American other than me. But now I plan on it. Like, well, tomorrow
Yeah.
is the first time I'm going to the States and to perform. And yeah, so many shows I can count. The memories I have with Chris especially are incredible. The last time we toured, we went out east, Canada. It was just Chris and I did the duo. And actually, the time before that, if I could share this one story on the road, our previous drummers, Chris, me, and our Alex, our old drummer, we went out across to the east coast of Canada, and we packed up the band. Three of us in my van, and we had all the gear, and the three of us, man, it was packed. But it was a lot of fun. We got to our first gig, which is like about 5 hours away. And then when we were unpacking the gear, I realized that my amp wasn't there. I'm like, oh shit, what happened? So it turns out while we were organizing the van, someone stole my amp.
Oh no.
So I posted, yeah, and it was a special amp. It's a customized one, JCM 800 Marshall customized. So I'm like, what? I said, post it on social media, but then people started getting back to me and saying, oh no, the amp that you described just got posted on at a pawn shop, like a local pawn shop here in Toronto. So fortunately I had a backup amplifier for the road. And so I used that for the tour, but then, yeah, I worked with the police and I called Bruce's pawn shop. And fortunately I got my amp back, and the people who stole my amp got arrested. So the story ended well. I got my amp back safe and sound. But that's one of many, many, many stories, great stories of being in the Read Effect.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And do you plan to do a lot of experimentation to the music in the coming days?
Yeah, like with the Read Effect, I want to be somewhat focused. That because I'm in a couple other bands. I'm in a blues band with my partner Veronica, the Muddy Earth Blues Machine. So I have that, and in Fat Mob, Chris's band, the members of that band are. We want to keep it going. It was Chris's band. It's not going to be the same, but to be able to play Chris's songs and to play it live, it's very special. And we decided that we're going to keep that going. So I have that, and they're all different styles. The Read Effect is more rock, and so I want to be somewhat focused. I want to keep it riffy, kind of rock and roll based, especially since I don't want to get too I want to be there's room within the sound of the Read Effect. Excuse me. That can be somewhat progressive and stuff like that. But I want to start working with Ted Sedalis again, our producer, who's a big part of the evolution of this band, especially on the last album. So I really take my ideas to him, and then he says, okay, this works. This, we start to trim. So we'll experiment, but at the end of the day, we're going to bring it to him, and he's going to have his opinions too. So I'm really excited, looking forward to taking Chris's ideas musically and turning it into some songs that we can put out there hopefully next year.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And any plans of getting back to Europe or other parts of the world to?
Yeah, I'd love to. Veronica, it's funny because Veronica and I went to Bolivia, Bolivia, South America, which is where she's from. And so we actually did a few shows down there with the Muddy York Blues Machine. So that was a real treat. But as far as the Read Effect concerned, yeah, I'd really like to get to Europe, especially. I think Europe we'd go over really well over there. I've been there to visit, but I've never toured out there, and I'm hoping I can make some contacts this coming weekend and get out to Europe. for sure. We would go over well. We have a great live show. And this new band, the lineup is it'll never be the same without Chris. Like I know I keep on saying, but this 5-piece that having the second guitars, and it'll be a different, slightly different dynamic because you have different drummer, different basses. So it'll be slightly, but they all know what the Reed Effect sounds like. You know, the spirit, the soul of the core of the Reed Effect. And I'm really confident that it's just a matter of time before we get to play Europe.
Amazing, amazing. And Kirk, finally, any message for the fans around the world?
Yes, yeah, and we do have fans all over the place. In New Zealand, we were #1 on a certain platform out there. Europe, the States. So yeah, just stay tuned. We have some crazy things coming up, and stay tuned for some live tour dates. And check out the new album, especially the new video for Trampled Under. And we have 4 more singles coming out over the rest of this year that you can enjoy.
Amazing, Kirk. And Kirk, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have this great interview with you. A real pleasure to meet you. And thank you for the amazing music that you have been giving us for the years. And I wish you all the best in the coming days and looking forward for more new music in the coming days.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Have a great evening.
Yeah, you too, brother. Okay, take care, man. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.